Hello and welcome to today we are going to deal the topic note making stroke note taking. Now look at it this way. If you are a student at secondary school, college or university, you are in the right place. For truth be said, you will need the skill of note making, note taking, failure to which your academic pursuit will prove insurmountable. If you are a worker, I can tell you for sure that it is inconceivable that you can go through a whole working day without being required to make a note here and there for this and that reason. You need the skill. Even in our own private lives, look at it this way. If you're thinking of going shopping to the supermarket, you need to make a shopping list. Or alternatively, if you're going on a journey, on a safari, you will need to plan for that, which requires note making. You'll need to make a packing list for the journey. Otherwise, you're going to leave important things that you need behind and others that you don't need, or even carry luggage that is weighty and you'll not be allowed into a plane, say. Yeah? You need note making ability. You have been on that safari. You have had very interesting, adventurous time. You need to enter that in your diary. Yeah, you need note-making ability. So what I'm saying is this: whoever you are, you need this program. So please watch right up to the end without skipping. And in the same breath, let me remind you to like this program. I sincerely hope that you do. Then subscribe in case you've not done it already. Subscribe so that you'll be getting notified of other more interesting, more informative, more entertaining programs that I have lined up for you. So please hit that notification bell to be notified. Then watch right up to the end. This will be of great benefit to you. Yes, I assure you, it will be of great benefit to you. And for me, I will appreciate to know that you people out there are liking what I do. And this will inspire me. Needless to say, though, it will inspire me further. So please, welcome to this program. As already seen, there are many tasks, either in our academic work life or in our private life, that require note-making ability. And then you have to be adept at it. You have to. And this is why we are at it right now. So please keep interested and see whether you'll not come out at the end as one with that good note-making ability. There exists a distinction between note-making and note-taking, but it is nice and easy to understand. We make notes when the source is textual, or rather when it is a text that we are reading, whether a book or a magazine or a newspaper. In that case, we make notes. We take notes when the source is listening. So you're listening or watching on television or on YouTube like we are doing right now, and there you are taking notes. So it is my hope that many of us are now taking notes as we go along. So nice and easy, note making, note taking. Now, whether notes are whether they are made or they are taken, they usually act as a basis for something. It could be a summary, it could be a report, it could be a skeletal plan for an essay, or a research account, you're going to write out that, or for whatever reason, there'll be a basis for something. Now, here I'm principally addressing myself to the student, that notes taken during lessons or during lectures should always be treated as raw notes. But they should be refined within the shortest time possible, at least within between 24 to 48 hours. If it is for kids in secondary school, I guess you'll need to do it within 24 hours. 24 to 48 hours, because I guess you have many subjects to do. But if it is at university or college and you made your own notes and within the next hour or so you don't have any further appointment or lessons or lectures, that is the time to do it. So please remember, raw notes should always be refined. And by being refined here, we mean that you write them in prose, in continuous prose, in good grammatical language, and most likely in words of your own. That is, in the way you understood the topic or the concept, and you write it as much as possible in your own words, but of course, keeping the flavor of the original. Whether one is taking or making notes, the following guidelines will always prove useful. 1. Write only the main points. 2. Do it in an orderly manner, and this requires that you number and letter your notes. In order to hasten the process of note making, use abbreviations and symbols and other manners of personal mnemonics. Refine the notes by writing them down in your own words. Always arrange your topics according to the dates they were taken, then subjects, topic, and sub topics. Always leave space on the page that you're writing in which additional details, or you can use that space to condense your notes into bullet points. And then always make certain you write your notes in neat and legible handwriting. There's nothing as frustrating as writing your notes and then later you're trying to read and you cannot make heads or tails of what you had written. It does happen even to me. So care needs to be taken. Don't allow yourself the frustrations that crop up out of that. Then keep revising and updating your notes periodically. And by the time we finish, we shall have seen how exactly to arrange this. Now, let us look into greater details at some of the points that I have listed above. 1 is that your notes should only contain minimum information. It is needless if you are, and this is what some people do, for you to copy and copy and copy, almost reproducing a text or an article. That is needless and you do not do it, and it's not the way to learn, because what you're practicing is what is called rote memory, and it's not the right thing. Your notes should contain only the main points, and this most likely will refer to headings, subheadings, sub-subheadings, and the topical sentences that are in the paragraphs. This means leaving out illustrations, lengthier elaborations, anecdotes, and numerous examples that will have been given. Then, in order to appear organized and avoid the confusion when you next refer to the notes, it is important that you number and letter your points. Now, let us look at some of the conventions for numbering. The first of which is where you use Arabic numerals outside the margin, 1, 2, 3. Then use the letters of the alphabet inside the margin, A, B, C. And then use the Roman figures further inside the margin, that is 1, 2, 3. And if you need further now, you can use now the bullets, the dash or the arrow, anything that will allow you. Or you can go back to 1, 2, 3. So that is one convention. A second convention is where you will use the capitals of the Roman numerals on the outside margin, 1, 2, 3. Then the capitals of the letters of the alphabet inside the margin, ABC. And then now the Arabic numerals, 1, 2, 3, further inside the margin. And now you can adopt another one, like the small letters. So these are two conventions we've looked at. There are other different ones, but for now, let us confine ourselves to the two. But at least you know now, to avoid that confusion, letter and number. Number and letter, your points. Now, for all practical purposes, and in order to hasten the process of note making or note taking, you will need to learn the use of abbreviations, symbols, and create your own personal mnemonics. A bit academic, but it's a practical thing to do. Otherwise, you will take too long and many points will fly over your head if somebody is speaking to you, or you'll keep stopping them, slowing them down, and that is not the right thing. So, let us look at the abbreviations to use. An abbreviation is a shorter version of a word, and there are 4 main ways of abbreviating words. Number 1 of which is shortening the word. This involves the use of the first few letters of a word with a full stop. For example, hospital, sentence, professor, reverend. These are just some examples. So use them where there's no risk of confusion. Because there's some you may write and then you may not remember what you wrote. Number 2, use of abbreviation is clipping. This is close to shortening, but here it is the first few or last words of a word that are used. And in this case, the full stop is omitted. In shortening, we use the full stop. Here, we omit it. Look at this, a few examples. Laboratory, hippopotamus, limousine, advertisement, zoological, facsimile, telephone, blackboard, aeroplane, refrigerator. These are examples of clipping. Then there is contracting. And here let's not confuse it with the contracting in grammar, like cannot for can't, or shan't for shall not. That one is more grammatical. Here we are thinking about note-taking, in note-taking. And what happens here is that the first and last letter will be used, and those in the middle will be left out. And the example is doctor, father, sister, saint, teacher. Here, in this one, an interesting point is that you can use the full stop, but it is increasingly falling out of use. You can leave it out. Now, the fourth one is use of initials. In this case, letters are used to stand for words. There is something, Government of Kenya. University of Nairobi. Prime Minister or Prime Meridian. United Nations. Compact disc. And you can see here initials are being used. So you too can learn to use initials. Another feature of using symbols is use of acronyms. These acronyms they were used as initials, but because of use over and over again, they have turned out to be words. Did you know that the word laser initially started off as initials for light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation? How about radar? It is radio detection and ranging. How about, did you ever hear this? Scuba, self-contained underwater apparatus. All these started as acronyms, as initials, but they have become acronyms. And increasingly, there is a lot of that in the new age. So, did you ever hear of Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries? Nobody will bother to say that. They'll just simply say OPEC. OPEC. Did you ever hear about National Union of Teachers? Nobody will bother for that. Even in Kenya, it is Kenya National Union of Teachers. People will just say NAT. How about NEMA? NEMA, National Environmental Management Agency. Rarely will somebody go into that. How about Union of European Football Associations? It's simply UEFA. Everybody's comfortable with that. How about PIN, Personal Identification Number? Even in modern day times, especially as a result of what is referred to as netiquette, used by netizens. This is communication or in the internet. They're very interesting acronyms that have come of use now. YOLO, you must have all heard of YOLO. Yeah? It means you only live once. How about LOL? Yeah? LOL. Laugh out loud. Huh? How about LMK? Let me know. SMH? Shaking my head. And I'm certain if you go to the internet, you'll get a lot of acronyms that are in use now. You too can come up. Everybody's coming up with them. Okay. Now, we look at symbols. Symbol. A symbol, as we all know, is something that stands for or represents something else. There are 3 types of symbols. We've got the general symbols, which are common symbols understood by almost everybody. So on your part, make certain that you learn as many general symbols as possible. In a good dictionary, we'll have a list of that. Many grammar books will have a list of that. Definitely Google will show you some of the common symbols. If you're traveling to a country, it is good that you learn which symbols are in use, especially if you're traveling widely. And even at the airport or bus stops, you need to learn these symbols. But in our note making, some of the more general are, for example, that is, and so on. Who doesn't know that N stands for North? That BA stands for Bachelor of Arts, or British Airways. That PTO means please turn over. That PS means postscript. Learn as many general symbols as you possibly can. Then there are subject symbols. Subject symbols are used by subject specialists. They are mostly used in the study of those subjects, especially maths and sciences, but not only limited to those areas of knowledge. Who doesn't know the symbol for addition in mathematics? How about this? Do you remember it? Is not equal to, or is equivalent to, and many other symbols. In chemistry, who doesn't know that AU stands for gold, H stands for hydrogen, H2O for water, and PB for lead. So make sure you learn them as many as possible. Go to physics or biology, learn the symbols. In geography, learn as many symbols as possible because you can use the same in your note making. You can use them in order to hasten the process, as we said. Now, we get to what we call personal mnemonics. Personal mnemonics. These are symbols and abbreviations that a person comes up with. And this is especially in an area or in words that are frequently used in a particular subject or area of study. I'm a teacher of literature. I can tell you for sure that many times if I have to write character, you don't need to write that. XTER stands for character. Many people, if you want to write between, you just draw two parallel lines and put a dot in between, and that means between, and you know it. And there are many other ways of writing between. These days, if somebody wants to write 2, it's simpler to just use the figure 2. 4, use the figure 4. And these are personal mnemonics. For me, currently I'm teaching A Doll's House, Henrik Ibsen's A Doll's House. If I'm having to write that in my notes, ADH for me will do, I know. And if it is the characters who are there is no Ra, I can just write N. If it is Krogstad, Krog, I don't have to write the foot. So, it is an enterprising area that you too can come up with your own personal mnemonics. But again, remember the question, use them only in areas when there's no risk of confusion. Don't write them and then it frustrates you later because you cannot remember. For example, if you're writing the word difficulty, and you write it DIFF, in future you may not remember whether you meant different or difficulty. To avoid such confusion, I would take the care to write difficulty, DIFY in that case. I'll remember easily and have no risk of confusion. I'm sure you're getting it. Then you must be organized. This is of paramount importance. If you're using exercise books, use different exercise books for different subjects. If you're using files, then divide your file into sections. Then arrange your notes. Once again, date taken, the topic, subtopic, and subtopics. It is good if you can highlight your headings and subheadings. The headings should be in capital letters, in different color or highlighted. The subheadings and subheadings, you use the title case and you can underline or use different ink or highlight. Remember that is important. If you're using loose foolscap paper, always make certain that the notes you took first are at the top. So that's how you organize your notes. So it is good to be organized and it's not so very difficult. It is as simple as I have explained. Then it is always good to revise your notes. Periodically revise the notes. And the best plan is this. After taking the notes, go over them at least within 1 week, from 1 week to 3 weeks. Go over those notes. Then plan to do it again between 1 to 3 months, and one more time between 3 to 6 months, and then importantly on the eve of the exam if you're a student in school or university or college. Then each time you revise the notes, don't just go pouring over that page. No, Be alert, be active. And the thing to do is that make certain that you compress those notes into bullet points each time. The margins on any exercise book should prove useful for this. And in fact, look at it this way. There is a margin on top. There is empty space on top of that page and at the bottom, to the left-hand margin and to the right-hand margin. Yes, I know the left-hand margin is usually left blank. It's left, the space is left, but very few people give a thought to the right-hand margin. You should leave it so that you can be entering additional information and, most important, writing your notes, condensing your notes, and we shall be looking that into greater details. And if you have come across any additional notes, add them. Remember what we said: spaces on top of the page, the bottom of the page, left and right hand margin. Compressing and giving additional notes that you've come from other references. Yeah, and do it. And the second time, do the same. Again, the bullet points into fewer bullets. And even the third time into fewer bullets. And you know the beauty of this is that when you are doing this, you are helping your mind to lodge that information in the long-term memory. You have acquired the knowledge now. And many times you just need to look at that short bullet, and that will be a trigger for your brain to retrieve all the information that it has stored in that long-term memory. And that is how knowledge is acquired and retained. And you never know when that knowledge will become important. And most likely long after the exam is done. Long after the exam is done. But that information is there. That knowledge is there. And you have it. So, look, revise the notes frequently, periodically, a planned plan. And each time condense the notes into shorter notes. And there we have it. If you carry out this, it does improve your note-making ability greatly. So, as I sign off, thank you for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. I'm off to go and prepare another most informative, entertaining, and educating episode. Bye for now. God bless.